Hello, everyone. Welcome to Geek Tank, where everything is a matter of geek. We're your hosts. I'm Zia.
And I'm Marco.
Today, Kay is absent, but we are here with our friends at the Massimo Gallery on iDrive by SeaWorld. They have a May event going on for their flower display, which is actually behind the camera. Unfortunately,
It's very beautiful, though.
It is beautiful.
A lot of great artwork in here.
Mm-hmm. And the flowers are actually an especially favorite of mine. But also behind us, you can see some of the Disney artwork. So that is also worth checking out.
Especially with Mother's Day. We will have been tomorrow now, but probably already passed by this point.
Right.
But a lot of these flower pictures would be something that would be an excellent gift for a mother.
Also, if you're doing something late for Mother's Day, this would be a nice place to bring your mother to actually see everything. So, the artwork, like Marco said, they make great gifts. There's also prints if an original is out of your price point, but
and they got wine here too.
There's wine.
So
there's
you
beer.
drink some wine while you're walking around enjoying the artwork. It'd be a really nice experience.
Mm-hmm. And they also have their Art Wars event going on, in which you can come in, and for $20, all supplies included, you can paint a Stormtrooper or Kylo Ren head. So that's a nice activity to do with the family or with your mother or even just by yourself.
And it looks like you can put coins in them too.
Oh, you can. They're also banks.
Piggy banks.
So your own personal decorated Stormtrooper or Kylo Ren head.
We've seen some really cool ones here. There's been some really creative ones. I saw a Deadpool Stormtrooper helmet.
Oh, so is that your favorite one, or?
Personally, I think I might be more of a fan of the. There's one that has like octopus tentacles all over it, and I like that one a lot.
Oh yeah, that one was a good one.
And there was another one that was painted to look like Van Gogh's face.
Yeah, that one was really creative because he actually he etched it too.
Oh,
the artist, yeah, I watched him do it. He was etching it, so he actually altered the shape of it.
Man,
so that was really creative.
It was like very well detailed. Like the bottom part, which is of the Stormtrooper helmet, was his beard. So actually, it looked like it worked pretty well too.
So if that sounds like something you're interested, definitely come on down to the Massimo Gallery. The link to their website with the address will be included in the description of this video. But for today's video, getting on to our actual podcast.
We're getting spooky.
Spooky, that's right.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today, Marco?
Looks like we're going to be talking about The Evil Dead.
The whole franchise, right?
Yeah, everything all about it. Bruce Campbell, the original films, even the show, Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Mm-hmm. And director Sam Raimi, who's a legend.
Oh yeah, that guy's amazing. He does great work. Like even outside of like Evil Dead, he's done Drag Me to Hell. He's even worked on the Spider-Man films. Like he's done some really awesome work. I love his style.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those directors that when you're watching his movies, you can tell.
Yeah, you can tell it says.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like when I was watching Spider-Man, like I could tell that certain scenes are very signature style of Sam Raimi.
They're very Raimi-esque.
Right. If I would peg one specifically in Spider-Man 2, when they're trying to operate on Dr. Octopus's arms to like remove them, that scene and everything and following during that scene is very Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of like close-up shots and quick zoom-ins.
Yep.
Yeah.
That scene especially, actually, that is kind of like a horror film.
It is, yeah.
So Evil Dead, though. What was your first experience with that franchise?
Definitely watching Army of Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it probably like in high school, and I remember my cousin was showing me the film, and I knew nothing about the franchise. So like to me, Army of Darkness was just a standalone film. I didn't even realize that it was a sequel or part of a trilogy even. To me, it was just Army of Darkness.
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you say that was your first foray into it, because that was also mine. I remember watching on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I was really young.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was part of a series either. I didn't know until much later, until I was in like middle school or high school. And apparently a lot of people didn't know it was part of the Evil Dead series when it came out. And that has to do, according to Bruce Campbell himself, it has to do with Universal kind of dropping the ball on that.
Oh, okay.
So when it released in the box office, it was titled Army of Darkness, and it kind of flopped. And
right. I guess because they didn't put Evil Dead in the title, so you didn't know it was part of Evil Dead.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, rightfully, it should have been Evil Dead 3 because that's what it is. It's Evil Dead 3.
It could have been titled Evil Dead 3: The Army of Darkness.
Yeah, like Army of Darkness is more like a subtitle, if anything.
I almost would have guessed that it could have been because of like Sci-Fi Channel, because I feel like Sci-Fi Channel showed Army of Darkness, but it never showed Evil Dead 1 or 2.
That's actually right. I don't think I've ever seen either of those on television, period.
Right. I can't imagine they would be able to be shown on television, because even though they're fairly low budget, they are quite gory.
Right. I actually think that they weren't approved by the rating system for movies. I think they were just done independently and not under any major studios, and I think that's part of the reason why. Is that technically they're just unrated movies.
Yeah, so I think it was probably actually harder to find those films in order to watch them than it would have been to access Army of Darkness.
Yeah. It's a lot easier nowadays because of how everything's changed with streaming. Like now, I don't know for sure, but I'm willing to bet that you could go on Amazon or whatever movie distribution service and pay $3 to rent it and watch it right in the comfort of your own home.
Oh yeah, definitely. The access nowadays is infinitely easier. Yeah.
Like for me, Army of Darkness, like I said, was on TV, but Evil Dead I didn't see until I want to say I was 13, and I actually found a used copy of Evil Dead 1 in a library store. Like it was they would sell their older stuff, older books and movies, and I bought it there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I'm actually not sure when I first saw Evil Dead 1 and 2. I could assume that I sought them out once I realized that Army of Darkness was part of a trilogy, and then I wanted to see the first two films, and so I probably sought them out that way. Most likely, I probably just saw them online in that case, because I'm not sure I've actually seen like physical copies of them to watch.
You know, I remember seeing physical copies of them years ago on DVD, and it was like it was this whole cool box set.
Of all three films?
No, it was just Evil Dead 1 and 2.
Okay.
And each of the boxes was a Necronomicon.
What? That's awesome.
And it was like it had like that rubbery feel to it.
Yeah. So. That sounds like a really cool collector piece. I would have loved to have something like that.
I was young, though. I didn't have my own money to buy it with. So
oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
I never got it. So that's kind of sad. But
that'd be something cool to like find again and try to get.
Dude,
they might have like a Blu-ray version of that nowadays.
I'm gonna check on Amazon after we finish recording this.
I would love to have any kind of like Necronomicon box set in my room. I always love like special edition like box sets like that.
Yeah.
Like I think that my favorite one I have in my room is I have the Star Trek film, the J.J. Abrams one, right? The first one. And the DVD case is the Enterprise.
Nice.
It's a model of the Enterprise, and the saucer section opens up to have both of the DVDs in there.
But see, that's cool right there, because it's just something like, it's something that represents that series, and that's true of these Necronomicon cases. But just the idea of it, doesn't it creep you out a little bit, considering what the Necronomicon is?
Yeah. Well, I've never considered myself to be a truly like superstitious person. I definitely wouldn't have like a Ouija board in my room, but I could definitely like have a Necronomicon in there without worrying about the consequences for it.
You see, I don't even think about Ouija boards, because I just buy alphabet soup, and that's how I do my scrying.
Yeah, I mean those will definitely move around on their own, and then you won't have to do any work there. You just like watch it, and as they move around in the soup, they'll eventually create the words.
That's right.
Yeah. But you gotta be careful of that too, because like you're gonna summon out some weird like spaghetti demon.
Yeah, a hand is just gonna come. Oh, you're talking about the SpaghettiO stuff. Yeah. I was talking about like the cereal.
I remember. Okay.
I can imagine like a hand coming out of my milk.
You're gonna summon a milk demon then. Yeah.
Milk. You think it has udders?
Oh, I don't know. They'd be like weird like tentacle udders. They'd be like udders, but they would like protrude out like tentacles and.
Oh yeah, I can see it. It's just udders on the tentacle, and it squirts milk instead of ink.
Yeah, and then like they choke you out, and then like force feed you milk.
I don't know. I think that wouldn't be bad. You get lots of vitamin D. You have strong bones, protein. You get strong. I mean, imagine that. That'd be awesome. Milk on demand. Unless you have lactose intolerance.
But they might try to possess you too, and turn you into like the new milk demon.
Squirt.
I guess it could work. It would definitely be something to experience. I don't know if I'm down for that. But you know what they say, don't knock it till you try it.
Exactly.
Go out there, try something out that milk demon. Give it a shot. Don't actually do that.
Speaking of trying things for the first time though, and getting back to Army of Darkness, what were your impressions of that film the first time you watched it?
Army of Darkness, right off the bat, I loved it. It was to me, I think what really speaks to the film is that it does work very well as a standalone film. It speaks to it that I was able to watch it without knowledge of it even being part of a trilogy and still really enjoy it.
I mean, once you find out, hey, this is part of a trilogy, it makes sense considering the beginning.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that just like you watching it for the first time, I had no clue.
Exactly, yeah. And so even just the first time watching it was just great. I loved the campy nature of it and the kind of like the dark humor going on. The creature effects, even though they were, dated, they still looked great.
Yeah, even in that time, I think they were kind of silly, but it worked for the film.
Just the entire vibe of it, with the dark humor and everything, it made it all work together so that even if they didn't look very realistic, it worked for the theme of the film.
Mm-hmm. Were you ever scared during that film, though? Did you find it scary at all?
No, unfortunately, I didn't find it scary at all. It was more of to me, it felt like more of a dark fantasy.
Right. Yeah. It was more comedy heavy.
Yeah, it was definitely funnier than it was trying to be scary. Right. I think actually, from what I've heard about the production of those films, is that they started off trying to be scary, and as they progressed more, they cared less about being scary.
Right. It was just that thing that another idea just kind of takes hold.
I think as they were going along, they noticed that it was funny, and at one point they decided to kind of go with it. And I think Army of Darkness was the result of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to take seriously when you think about it, because it's this time-traveling dude with a chainsaw for a hand.
Yeah.
And a boomstick.
Yeah.
As he calls it.
Fighting against
like knights and skeletons in the Middle Ages.
With King Arthur.
Is King Arthur in that?
Yeah. So the kingdom or castle that he goes to, the guy running the place is King Arthur. And he's initially he confuses him as one of Henry the Red's men because King Arthur is at war with Henry the Red.
Okay. Yeah, it's starting to come back now.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in years, dude.
Oh yeah. I actually still I think I've watched it kind of recently. I mean, I probably not within this year, but it's definitely fresh enough in my memory. I've watched it a lot of times. Because I feel like it's one of those films that you can watch repeatedly and still get enjoyment out of.
And just laugh.
Yeah. Anytime I see it on TV or anything, I'll stop. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is just fun times.
I think a lot of it is due to Bruce Campbell because he's so fun.
Yeah.
His character is great. I mean, sometimes I question, though, how much is Ash and how much is Bruce Campbell just being Bruce Campbell on screen.
Yeah, I could definitely picture his role. And as you see him get more comfortable with it, too, like it's again, the progression. The first film, it definitely looks like he's trying to play the role of his character. But you watch the movies and you can see him just kind of like getting more comfortable with it and basically just becoming himself in the film. Yeah. I think really Army of Darkness is just Bruce Campbell.
Yeah,
as is fighting the Army of Darkness.
Yeah, it's really interesting to watch the character progression through each movie because like you said in the first movie, he doesn't really have that much personality.
Yeah, no, he's definitely just your typical male main character that is there to immerse you in what's going on and kind of like be that window into the story.
Yeah, it's kind of like how most people would be in a situation like that. And it's
just kind of freaking out and trying to get through it,
Yeah, and then you see like progressively he evolves into this macho sort of lovable asshole protagonist.
Even you get most of that in Army of Darkness, so even in Evil Dead 2, he's like transitioning really. He's kind of still mostly that person that is just trying to survive the experience. But you can kind of see him start to man up more, because then in the Evil Dead 2 is when he, starts to like fight back.
Yeah. So here's my big cinema sin confession, and I've never seen the entirety of Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, that's right. I think you did tell me that earlier. Which is like, if you want the full experience, Evil Dead 2 is pretty important because it sets up Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Army of Darkness is actually a direct continuation.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing about Evil Dead 2 is that it's not really a sequel.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a remake, reboot type deal. Like a reimagining.
Yeah. I would call it like Evil Dead 1.5.
Yeah. Which is it's accurate to call it that.
Yeah. The movie, it basically, the first half of it is retconning the first film.
Yeah.
And kind of like having it done in a new light, even with new characters and everything.
Yeah.
It's almost an entirely new reimagining of the story. Mm-hmm. But then it finishes off that night, and it goes into the next day. Right. So that's the sequel portion of the film, because it continues from there and has its own resolution.
Right, because in the first one, it ends when the next day begins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first film does take place over one evening.
So let's actually get into these differences. So the first one, I went into that movie with Army of Darkness expectations.
Yeah.
It's a funny movie, Army of Darkness. Evil Dead 1 is not.
No, it's definitely not trying to be funny. It ends up being funny, but
I only remember one part that made me laugh in Evil Dead 1, and that's the infamous tree rape scene.
Yeah,
and not because like I think rape is funny. That's not it. It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I wouldn't have called that part funny. To me, the funny part would have been Ash's girlfriend when she becomes possessed, and she's kind of laughing and giggling with her like white eyes. Okay, I thought she was kind of funny. Okay,
I didn't know. I thought everything about that movie, the first Evil Dead, and mind you, this was 13-year-old me. I thought it was terrifying.
Oh yeah.
And I was totally unprepared for it. The tree scene was only funny because of just the ridiculousness of it. It's like why would a tree even do that? It's just,
how would a tree even like come to life?
The tree's like, yeah, I got wood.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, the whole movie was terrifying to me. I was just like, I was kind of shocked because I'm coming from Army of Darkness.
Right, yeah.
And I'm just expecting it to be funny, and I was totally caught off guard.
Yeah,
so it scared me.
The mood of the film is completely different.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, it is. And even at the end of the film, Bruce Campbell's character, Ash, is literally exhausted.
Yeah.
I mean, this kind of spoiler territory, but towards the end, as he finally finishes off the last, they're called Deadites. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he finishes off the last one. It's just like laying there dissolving, and you watch Ash as he's looking at it dissolving, and you just see him just like he looks so tired and he just like passes out, and you can see the exhaustion in his eyes. Mm-hmm. So like that's how you feel by the end of the film too, because it's just one bad thing after another.
Right. And one thing that also makes it terrifying is you just don't understand it. The evil that's coming at him.
Yeah, they don't explain anything.
Yeah. It's just people are randomly getting possessed, and you don't know who's going to be next. They don't really die either. Like he dismembers them, and still the parts are moving. Like they could come after him.
And then even the force itself that originally possesses you is an unseen force. Right. And this is one thing I really love about the film franchise is the force itself that is shown attacking these people and possessing them. You never see it. All you ever see is its own point of view. Mm-hmm. And you see it like chasing the people down. It's just really cool like camera effect that they do, where I guess they have the camera and they're like just like running with it. Yeah. And so you're moving as though you are that force. Yeah. And that's what you're seeing on the screen. And as is like this crazy like eerie and scary sound effect.
Yeah, it's
like
no,
it's not even that. It's like a yelling. It's almost like a yelling, like a really sort of yell, like.
I always remember like a wind sound to it.
Yeah, no. If you were to see it again, like I almost feel like it's like something screaming at you or yelling at you, like very very distorted and like echoey. It's very unsettling. It's very cool. I like it a lot. That's probably one of my favorite things about the franchise.
Mm-hmm. So then, how does Evil Dead 2 differ? Is the question, because it is a remake, sort of reboot type deal.
Yeah. So Evil Dead 2, it's like I said, the story itself is much different. It takes out a lot of Ash's supporting characters. Like the first film, he comes to that cabin with a group of friends, and they're just there to just for like a vacation type of thing.
Chill. It's like spring break.
This one, he only goes there with his girlfriend, and I think it's more related to. Yeah, he goes there with his girlfriend, and it's just for them to have like a weekend together.
Right.
And the additional cast of characters is there's like the cabin belonged to a scientist, like a doctor, like an archaeologist type of guy.
Yeah, which is sort of implied in the original as
right.
well.
And because you hear his recordings in that film. And then in this Evil Dead 2, they introduce his daughter who comes looking for like his work.
Yeah.
And she's like another one of the characters in this film. So she's introduced for Evil Dead 2. She's not in Evil Dead 1.
Yeah.
So basically, it's basically an entire different cast of characters that's introduced.
And they all die off.
Yeah. Of course, they also die. And the film, it continues where the last film leaves off, like halfway through. So like the first half of the film is the events of the first film completely reimagined.
Yep.
And then it ends, and then it continues from there. The sequel part of it is the next day because Ash gets possessed by the end of that night.
Yeah,
and then
it's just his hand, correct?
Well, no. He at the end of the first night, which is retelling the first film, he gets fully possessed.
Okay,
but the sun comes up, and apparently the demon, the force can't possess him anymore during the daytime, so it leaves him. And then he has to get ready for the next night, where it's gonna come back after him. So he actually does get fully possessed for like a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the second night is when his hand gets possessed.
And then he cuts that off.
Yeah.
And then eventually, when it ends, it leads into Army of Darkness, where he gets teleported back in time.
Yeah, and actually, that at the end of Evil Dead 2 is the scene where like this giant portal opens up and sucks him in.
So then, after Army of Darkness, he ends up getting back into his normal time period. And then so many years go by, and then we have Ash versus Evil Dead.
Yeah. It's a show on Stars, right? That was the channel that released it.
Yeah. And it went for 3 seasons, and I can't remember when exactly it ended, like what years it aired, but that show. What do you think of it in comparison to the movies?
I really enjoyed it, and I definitely feel like it properly represents the spirit of what the movies were doing. It keeps going with that comedy, that dark comedy element. It continues with that. And I think they do a very good job of maintaining that spirit. So I really enjoyed it.
So for this one, I feel like they actually brought back some of the horror that they lost with Army of Darkness. There are some pretty tense moments. I wouldn't say it's like scary, but it has tension.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like they definitely make the Deadites look really like this because this is modernized also.
Yeah.
So this is with more sophisticated like special effects and makeup techniques and everything. So like they make those Deadites look a lot like scarier, and there's like some really like demonic scenes that are really really creepy. So I can see that they definitely brought back some of the horror too.
They also fleshed out a lot of the ideas and story elements that weren't explained in other ones. Like they kind of talk more about the Necronomicon.
Yeah, you definitely learn more because it is a show, so they have more time to explore these things, and they really get into it. They go all in with it, and it's really fun the way to do it.
So how much of Ash versus Evil Dead have you seen?
So I've seen the first 2 seasons. It's been a little while. I don't remember like everything that happened. I kind of remember the main points. But I haven't seen the third season yet. Okay. So that's something I would like to see. I'd actually like to go back and rewatch the first 2 seasons just so they're fresh in my mind, and then I'd like to watch the third season after that.
And speaking of which, that third season is now up on Netflix.
It was just recently.
Yeah, like a couple weeks ago it got uploaded.
The third season finally went on there. So, and that's all 3 seasons. So if you want to just like watch the entirety of it, you marathon it now.
You can just binge it.
Yeah.
And it's actually short. Each episode is, it's less than half an hour runtime.
Yeah, they're not your hour-long episodes. They are the half-hour ones.
And it's really fast-paced, too. Like, it's boom, boom, boom.
You definitely get through a bunch of episodes, and you won't even notice the time passing by.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I started off, because I just recently started watching it. I'm about maybe 7 episodes in, and, like, time was flying.
Yeah.
I was up too late, and I was like, shit.
It's like, I didn't realize that now it's like 3 a.m.
Yeah. All right, we're back from technical difficulties.
Ran out of space, man.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
You got too much of that good stuff on there.
Yeah, as you were just joking, it's all the dick pics I took. They're all taking up all the space on my memory card.
Hey, man, you gotta calm down with that shit.
I can't help it, man. I like to admire myself. I'm like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. Gotta put my dick up there every 5 minutes.
It's understandable. Everybody's gotta appreciate themselves.
Yeah, self-love is a very important thing, people.
Love yourself.
Yes, and love your friends too. I love Marco.
I love you, boo. So we were talking about the show.
Yeah, the supporting cast.
That's right. Yeah, I do remember there were 2, and you said there was a third actually. Yeah, I may be a little bit vague on.
Well, again, I'm only on the 7th episode, and it was the detective.
That's
Amanda
right.
That just joined their group.
Yeah.
They're playing on a little bit of like a love interest between her and Bruce Campbell, or well, mostly it was him just like imagining dirty things. But
yeah, that's Ash being Ash. You know, he's definitely a womanizer.
They definitely upped his assholeness.
Yeah,
this one. Like, it's hilarious. He's the lovable asshole, but he is an asshole. And he even makes a comment about like, I'm saying some things that aren't really considered PC today.
Yeah. I feel like Ash's character would be someone that may have a hard time in today's world.
A very hard time. He would get blasted on Twitter constantly.
He would. Yeah, it would not end well for him.
Yeah.
But hey, he's doing the good work. Yeah. He's saving us from the Evil Dead.
He's El Jefe.
El Jefe.
That's what
El Jefe himself.
Yeah. There are a lot of interesting things in this. I mean, let's talk about how this entire incident started. Now we're getting into real spoiler territory now because this is a more recent show.
Right.
So if you don't want Ash vs. Evil Dead to be spoiled, now's your chance. You got to get out of here.
Big spoiler alert.
Yeah. Ash would probably tell you to fuck off at this point.
He would. He probably would have told you fuck off a while ago, actually.
Yeah. But this whole situation starts because he brings a girl back to his trailer. They smoke some weed. And he's like, "Oh, you like poetry? Here, check this out."
I now remember, yo.
It reads from the fucking Necronomicon. It's like he knows what it is. He knows like he's had to fight it before and stop it.
He's done two and a half full movies about this.
He's terrified of it. He's been running from it ever since Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
And then he just reads from it because he's high.
Just one dumb mistake, and he unleashes the Evil Dead all over again.
The funniest thing is he doesn't even remember it until he goes to a bar and picks up a woman in the dumbest way possible. And they're fucking in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He's got a wooden hand. Because remember, he lost his hand in Evil Dead 2. He's slapping her ass with the wooden hand. And she just randomly turns into a deadite.
Oh my gosh.
He's fucking terrified. He's just like, oh my god. He's like, I gotta leave town.
And that's the whole show. Like literally, that can tell you how the whole show goes down.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes down.
It's stuff like that.
He's old, he's out of shape, but he's still kicking Deadite ass.
Like literally, the opening scene is him trying to like put on some kind of like corset type of thing for men.
Yeah,
like,
to hold
in his gut, and he's like, "This is gonna hurt."
And he's just like, "Ooh yeah!" Out in the mirror.
It's just a great way to see Bruce Campbell doing his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. And like there's so many more things like as the show progresses, like more fun ideas you get to like see. This will be a little bit of spoiler for you, but at one point his car gets possessed.
Oh.
And it's just the best thing ever.
See, I always thought that the evil had to possess something alive, specifically people, because I don't even think they've ever showed it possess anything.
Well, they possess that tree. And Evil Dead 1.
That's true.
Yeah,
Oh,
they can possess it. They can possess anything.
Okay, so yeah, his car, shit.
And so that's a fun part that they deal with later. And there's a bunch of other cool things that go down.
The ayahuasca trip, that was hilarious.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the actress that plays Xena, Lucille Ball.
I don't remember the actress's name, but I know who she plays in the show.
Yeah, but she's in that show and she's great.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I saw her in anything, and she does a great job in this show. She's playing a person that is also trying to get a hold of the Necronomicon.
Yep.
And she's trying to get it from Ash, so they end up conflicting with each other, and that results in some really hilarious fights.
Well, so far in the show, she's
Lucy Lawless.
where I am.
Lucy Lawless is the actress. She's great. She's awesome.
Yeah, so the point I'm at in the show, she is actually claimed to be the daughter of the archaeologist from Evil Dead 2. I don't know if that's actually true. She seems like a sinister figure so far.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like I said, my memory of everything that went down is a bit hazy. So like I said, that's why I want to watch it again.
Yeah.
And like I normally don't rewatch shows that often, so like I know that I really love the show when I'm willing to like go back and watch it all from the beginning and again.
Yeah. It's also very simple to rewatch something like this because it's so short.
Yeah.
It's short, it's to the point.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shows that, they have hour-long episodes, and then there's
With a lot
13,
of
14 seasons.
Yeah.
Supernatural.
And I never
love
got Supernatural.
Supernatural's a good show, but I stopped after season 5 because that was originally, I think, where it ended. And then they continued it. And it's like, it's too much. That's what we're talking about.
We're talking about the dynamic between the characters and just like the overall, the ease of digestion for the show. It goes quickly. It's straight to the point.
Yep.
There's not like a ton of like build up. It doesn't have any like slow episodes where, they're just trying to get the story out there and and progress the lore. They're just everything is just event to event. Gag to gag, and it's all fun stuff.
It's actually, I mean, at least in my opinion so far, it's got solid writing. It hits everything. It actually does expand on the world. So like there is more lore than the movies, but it doesn't do so in a cumbersome way. It's not heavy on exposition or anything like that. You
even get introduced to some more like unique demon characters.
Yeah, that's another thing because you never really see demons like that in the movies.
Yeah, usually it's a character that gets possessed and they become an antagonist, but you never see like a demon of their like a specific demon on their own physically come out.
Yeah,
and then and attack.
Right.
But you see this in the show. You actually get some named demons, and it's pretty cool.
And at least the first demon that comes about, it's as a result of Ash kind of being an idiot.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this the savior of the world.
Yeah, I think a lot of the bad things that end up happening can be traced back to Ash's actions.
It's funny. He's the savior, and yet he's the one causing a lot of the trouble.
It is, yeah, yep.
Oh.
But it's definitely a great watch. I highly recommend it. It's easy to watch. It's easy to get through too. So like, it's not even a big commitment.
Yeah.
I think if you got the time and if you like Army of Darkness or Evil Dead, definitely give it a shot.
Yeah.
Check it out.
3 seasons, you can knock that out. Boom. Most people knock more than that out in a week.
Yeah, definitely. It's very easy to adjust. And like I said, the makeup effects, special effects, the production value of the show is great.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't look cheap at all.
No.
It's all very well done. And I think I've even seen a couple like behind the scenes stuff, and it looks like they had a lot of fun putting it together, the show.
And the thing about it is they still managed to strike a balance between that cheesy, campy look of the originals, while also having high production values. Like
Exactly, and they do use a lot of like really good practical effects. You know, a lot of the deadites and like the makeup is practical.
Yeah,
and so it looks a lot better that way.
Not
But
a lot of CGI.
and the CGI that is used tastefully.
Yeah.
You know, it blends in very nicely.
Yeah. So that's Ash versus Evil Dead. But what about the Evil Dead reboot? Because I haven't seen this, but you love the film.
I do. It is actually one of my favorite horror films, and I wouldn't say mainly because of just the quality of it, but as an experience, it is a just wonderful ride of just like exhausting horror, terror elements. So I will say that the Evil Dead remake, it does lose the humor of the original films. It definitely focuses more on being an actual horror movie.
So this is more in line with the actual original Evil Dead, which
yeah.
really wasn't a funny film.
Exactly. Like, yeah, the first film was not trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And so this film picks up in the spirit of that. It is definitely horror, shock horror, like super gory. It's intense. It's very intense. And that's what I loved about it. I love the intensity of the film because like once everything starts going bad, it escalates so much. And like it's just like so intense. Like once you get there, and it starts off for like that too. It's like there's not even like a ton of build up. The opening scene is a girl getting kidnapped, and like then you realize that the person that kidnapped her and like tied her up is her dad, saying that she's possessed. And she's like, "Daddy, take me home." And he's like, "I can't." And then he like gets the shotgun ready to like take her out. And then she's like, that's when she switches over and she's like, "I'm gonna eat your soul." And like,
I'm like imagining it. And
then he shoots her and like lights her on fire. And then she's like freaking out and like screaming and like still cursing him. And then he blows her head off. And then it goes right into Evil Dead. The movie logo.
Yeah.
It's just so intense, and it's just a great ride.
So, if I'm not mistaken, there's no Ashley Williams in that, correct?
Right.
Bruce Campbell's character.
Bruce Campbell. He's on the film. His character is on the film either. The movie does focus on a different cast of characters.
Which makes sense when you think about it, because now, as we know Ash, he's kind of a badass and he can handle all this.
Right.
So that would take away the fear.
Yeah.
Whereas now you put these new people in there that don't have any of his badassery, and they can't handle it.
Yeah, and well, I mean, the main character of the film is this woman that is trying to get over she has like a drug addict.
Oh, so
drug
it's
addiction.
It's a female lead this time too.
Yeah, although they kind of fake you out with it a little bit because they once again, this will be spoilers. They kind of make her brother out to be kind of the main character. He does most of the work for the film, but because like
he's the hero of the film or the protagonist, like the main character.
I guess it would kind of look like he is the hero of the film because his sister gets possessed and the movie is kind of like the sister gets possessed, all his friends get possessed, and it's him trying to to save her, and because his one friend that reads the book and ends up like unleashing everything and understanding like what's going on, he's like, we got to kill her, and like his whole thing is he doesn't want to kill her, and he's trying to figure out how to save her. And towards the last act of the film, he does like find a way to save her, but then he ends up dying to save her, and she gets left alone to face the demon that's been getting raised. This entire film is building up to like a demon being raised from the ground, and this demon comes out at the end of the film, and she has to deal with that on her own.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so actually you do get to see this character growth because she becomes a badass. She ends up having to like fight this demon by herself, and at some point a car like flips over onto her arm and pins her, and she literally has to rip her arm off, like pull away, get her arm ripped off,
So this is the female Bruce Campbell.
Exactly, and even better, she takes the chainsaw, and she kind of mounts it on her arm, on her stump, in order to cut that demon in half.
So it basically is Evil Dead again, like the original, but this time it's with a female lead and then a little more theatrical.
But they kind of fake you out though, because you don't think she's gonna be that main character, that hero at the end.
Yeah,
it should be for the whole time she's being possessed and she's like one of the demons, and it's her brother trying to save her. But at the end, it's her that defeats the demon. That's
really cool, actually.
Yeah, it's a cool film. Definitely, the pacing is amazing because like it will exhaust you, and like there's so much like blood and gore in the film,
which is just a staple of Evil Dead at this point.
But like they really kick it up a notch here. Like I would say that this film is the goriest of all of them by far.
I remember Halloween Horror Nights had an Evil Dead house one year, and I remember like for the most part, I don't think I've ever really been scared at Halloween Horror Nights, but knowing my first experience with Evil Dead and knowing what was going to be in that house, I was actually scared to go in.
Yeah.
And there were some parts that I was just like, oh, fuck no. Fuck no. Like, get me out of this haunted house.
And they did such a great job on the house, too. You know, everything was so well done that I remember the house being a lot of fun.
Dude, they actually do a good job with certain franchises when they make them into haunted houses. I feel like the franchises that you would expect to have the best budget values don't do so well, but things like Evil Dead, An American Werewolf in London,
they did
surprise
amazing
with those houses.
Yeah,
but
that was a great house. Evil Dead remake, I definitely recommend it. It's a really fun film.
So the one scene I know I've seen from the remake, I don't know if it's a nail or a knife and a tongue.
Oh,
something about that.
That's a box cutter.
Oh, it's a box cutter.
So that is the sister, the hero of the film. Yeah, while she's possessed, she takes a box cutter and just like slices her tongue in half.
God, yeah, I remember this.
She was doing that in front of the girlfriend of the brother. Yeah, so she's like freaking her out, and she cuts her tongue in half, and then she tries to like make out with her. She's like oh, and it's a really gross scene, and that's the whole movie, by the way. That is the whole movie. It's just scene after scene of shock horror, like really gruesome things happening. Yeah, body horror.
This is why these films are exhausting. At least the original and the remake. It's because of moments like that it just leaves you emotionally exhausted.
Yeah,
like, ugh.
And like it's relentless, because every time you think there's a break or like they've gained some ground, another thing happens and just like puts them right back at step one.
Yeah, I really believe that the reason Evil Dead evolved to the point where it had humor like this, like we know it now, is because it's too intense for most audience members. Like you gotta have the laughs in order to break it up to actually like.
And I think that might have been what maybe put some people off of the remake. It's because it doesn't give you that break. Yeah. It doesn't give you that comedic break.
Yeah, because even Drag Me to Hell, which was another Sam Raimi film, that movie it's pretty scary.
Yeah, it's very dark, but it also has
the laughs,
those comedic elements. Yeah,
it gives you
those ridiculous scenes that are just like they're gory, but they're hilarious.
Yeah, like it's like scary, but also funny at the same time. The way it's filmed.
Yeah. So you unfortunately don't get that in this remake. But if you're someone who can really enjoy like a super intense and gory film that is really just trying to just like destroy you, then you would like Evil Dead a lot.
Yeah. So go in with that warning. It might not be the kind of movie you want to watch before you go to bed.
Yeah. This is an intense film.
Yeah. Also, not a date night movie.
Yeah. No, it's gonna gross you out for sure.
I don't know. Maybe some people are into that. But
maybe. But I love it. I love that film. It's great.
I mean, I love the first one too.
Yeah.
So like now you telling me this, I'm like, I gotta watch this.
Yeah,
watch it.
Yeah. I got it. We can watch it after we're done here.
Oh, we're gonna make this a date night.
Oh, I'm ready.
Is this what
Wait,
gets
I want
us
you.
in the mood?
I want you to eat a nice full meal, and then I want you to see this.
No, that's okay. I'll go in on an empty stomach. I've seen the tongue scene. I don't want to watch that on a full stomach.
It's so good. It's honestly it's one of my favorite horror films. But when I talk about my favorite horror films, I just enjoy the ones that are like crazy rides that are just like super intense.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what horror's all about.
Yeah.
You don't go in expecting like political intrigue or something. It's not going to be a complex narrative that's like, oh, like let's get all artsy and shit.
Right. Yeah. It's all about that shock value.
Exactly.
And you get all of that in this one.
So, I guess with that being said, the Evil Dead series,
take it all in.
Take it all in.
Yeah, go rewatch those old movies. They're awesome. They age pretty well. I mean, that first one, those effects are old, but you'll still enjoy them.
Yeah. Again, going to the original Evil Dead or the remake, knowing that it's sort of this terror fueled, draining experience.
I recommend it. Go check it out.
If that's too much for you, just go ahead with Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, and Ash vs. Evil Dead. Those are a blast. They're hilarious.
I mean, if you like Bruce Campbell, you're gonna get a lot of him in there.
Dude, I love Bruce Campbell.
He's great. He's
great
very
in
entertaining.
I've seen him in.
Yeah,
he was good in Spider-Man for those small moments he was in.
Every cameo he had was very fun.
Dude, I watched Burn Notice because of him. That's what originally got me into that show.
Oh yeah?
Like, oh shit, Bruce Campbell's in it.
I gotta go watch Burn Notice, son.
You haven't seen Burn Notice?
I have not seen it.
Ooh, that's a great spy show.
Okay, I'll check it out then.
Check out Burn Notice too if you haven't. It's great for Bruce Campbell fans. It's great if you're not a Bruce Campbell fan.
Give that remake a chance. I feel like a lot of people shit on that movie.
That's actually why I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people like write it off, and that makes me a little sad because that movie was a lot of fun, and I mean I get that it's not like the same spirit of what the original films were, but it's still really fun. And you know what? I would argue that it is in the spirit of the first film. Because like you said, the first one was trying to be scary. It wasn't trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And so this remake is just doing that. It's doing what the original was trying to do. It's scary. It's scary, intense, and gory. And that's what the first film wanted. Mm-hmm. So give it a chance. Don't knock it until you see it.
Don't listen to the rabid online haters, that vocal minority.
They're just mad that Bruce Campbell's not in it.
Yeah. That hurts me a little bit too.
But that hero, that woman that's in the movie, I feel bad I forgot the actress's name, but she does a great job. Because she plays the demon well, then she plays the hero well.
Hey, I mean, having to rip her arm off like that, the
Yeah.
way you described, that right there puts her up in the leagues, her character with Bruce Campbell's.
Yeah, she gets through it, and she doesn't give up.
All right. So give it a watch. And with that being said, this has been Geek Tank. We hope you enjoyed watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.